Good evening, everyone. So welcome on our meeting webinar. So basically, we will go into this topic that we have recently announced in our group. My name is Ceyhun. I'm Ceyhun Nasip Aliyev. I'm based in Qatar. I'm a director of revenue in Rotan Hotels. So basically, today with my counterpart, Nijat Aliyev, we will be discussing more in details of the crisis management in the hotel industry that we have posed recently. The aim of this topic actually to dive in for the operational base of the crisis management, not only the commercial side, because most of the time we are talking about the commercial side, but we tend to forget about the operational side. That's why we brought this content and to bring you the attention that the small issues, small topics actually can lead to big crisis, and how it should be managed in the hotel industry. So being said that, I'm handovering to my counterpart, Nijat Aliyev. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ceyhun. Good evening, everyone. Taking this moment, I would like to congratulate all my Muslim brothers and sisters for the Ramadan and telling them Ramadan Kareem. So welcome to our webinar. This is our first webinar with my colleague and my dear friend Ceyhun. We had created a group called Hospitality Insights. Some of you may follow us from the LinkedIn. Some of you may follow us from the Facebook. However, please be informed that we are developing on our website and the Instagram page as well, which you will be able to see many guest speakers. And in the future, you will actually have a lot of surprises, which will like to benefit to our hospitality industry. A little bit about myself. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. Just a small introduction. My name is Nijat Aliyev. I'm in hospitality more than 13 years now, and majority of the role I was being in the executive role. At the moment, I'm the asset manager. For those who is not clear what's the asset manager, it's the person, it's the role basically who is taking care of the commercial real estate. Commercial real estate could be hotel, apartment, retail, and offices. So basically, we are here actually to talk about the crisis management. And as Ceyhun explained, we're going to talk about the operational perspective, not the commercial perspective. Because for us, even for me personally, operationally is about 60 or 70% of the scope which we have to fulfill at the moment. We do believe that without these preparation, you cannot sell your rooms, you cannot invite your guests, and basically you cannot sell your product. So not taking that much long, just a few rules. You may interrupt me in terms of the questions by chat box. You may find it in your Zoom. For those who is using first time, you can go to the chat area where we can, where you can type your question. We'll be able to reply. And of course, in the end of the presentation, there will be a small question and an answer where you could address your questions as well. So we're going into our presentation. So we're going to talk about today as a background of the context, what is the risk management itself, how many levels are we talking about, how to avoid it. I will explain to you some few scenarios in industry, obviously without mentioning the name, few scenarios where you will be able to understand why we're talking about it and why it's so important. Obviously, we'll talk about the duty and responsibilities. This section is one of my favorite one, actually, duty and responsibility, as one of the role of the asset manager or owner representative is to look at whose duty and whose responsibility on each role. This will be one of the important slide that I will explain. And of course, in the end of the presentation, we will do a small Q&A, which I will be happy to hear your questions. So first of all, what is the crisis situation? Obviously, there is the background of it, there is the meaning of it, how it can come up. It could be any crisis management. We're not talking about current pandemic situation where we are all looking at. So basically the background of the crisis is any unusual, which is not normal, internal or external. We'll talk about the internal and external, which means within the hotel or outside the hotel. Event that affects a person. A person could be a guest, your employee, your third party who you're working with in any area of the business. That could be whether you're permanent staff or you could be subcontractor, means outsource, casual, sometimes we'll call them, in any geographic area that if it's not managed effectively. This line is very important for everyone to look at it. If it's not managed effectively, it doesn't mean that you know about the situation. It's more about the addressing the situation and resolving it as soon as possible. From the outset of may harm hotel's reputation. Majority of, unfortunately, in my experience, I had seen that nobody cares about the reputation. So everybody cares about managing the hotel, not the reputation. So how you're going to manage your hotel, whether it's your personal or within your team, within your colleague, it's going to reflect it in the market. That is the reputation. That is the reputation that cannot be valued. It's more about the businesses that you may see in the future, how it could negatively affecting. So business or development or rendering entity or of its representative liable. The word is liable. It's coming from the liability, or another word is responsibility. Many of the legal terms are using this word, liable or liability. This is basically who is responsible for it. We'll talk about it in the other slides. So regardless of its perceived nature, any event can be made worse by exercising media coverage. Media coverage today, unfortunately, I would say, is a tool that, whether it's the correct information or not, it could be posted and it could be blackmailing or anti-PR against the entity. So I do suggest that please be careful in your managed hotels or managed business entity, which may not give any opportunity for media to show it. So we will go to the other slides. So far, if nobody have any questions, I will go to the next slide. So we're talking about the crisis management, obviously, and the level of the crisis management. So these are from the experience, from the best practices that have been taken. As we see, there are 4 levels of the crisis that today you may directly impact, directly you can see it, directly you can watch it or know about it, that existing at the moment. So it's in the level 0, it's the hotel event. So basically, it's something that happens within the hotel, and it's very small, very minor issue, the problem that can be occurred, and it could be handled by the manager, duty manager, or any other staff. We will go more into examples in our next slide. So level 1 is within the, again, hotel crisis. However, this time it's something big, something is not easy to handle. Sorry for that. So it's not easy to handle, and there are specific people. So again, there are specific people which we call it crisis committee. which they are handling it in the hotel. Anybody knows who's crisis committee? So what is the crisis committee? Crisis committee, it's a group of people basically from the executive committee, executive board actually, GM and the other head of departments, which they are in this committee and they're taking a responsibility for their own department. We'll talk about it in the more in examples, obviously. However, one of the crucial and important area is the crisis committee, because if in the hotel there is no crisis committee, you may understand that nobody knows who is responsible for what, when, and how, because crisis could come anytime, could come any circumstances. It could be in the night, it could be in the morning, it could be in the evening. So crisis committee have to be ready by any circumstances, by any means. So we'll talk about the crisis committee obviously later on. However, please know that crisis committee is taking the responsibility within the hotel proportionally, and obviously managing their own team. So second, level 2 is actually on the country or the region crisis. This one could be known for you, as many of you may seen it. I could give some examples related to it as well. It could be 9/11 as a terrorist attack, or financial crisis, which was also level 3 as a worldwide as well, but there was some countries which had been majorly reflected. Or I could give you the country or the regional crisis, as a few months ago there was a United States and Iran tension, which gave into the region, which gave some countries a crisis, an area where it was harming, where it could be consequences, negative consequences that could be occurred. I'll talk about it later on examples, and worldwide crises, which today you know as one of them is the pandemic, the COVID-19. However, there was other crises also, such as financial crisis at 2007 and 2008. There was SARS. Obviously, it wasn't that much rapidly more, but it was as a worldwide as well. SARS, and as the data is not available with us, however, we know about it. There was one more pandemic in the Spain, which today we're comparing at the crises. So if this part is clear for you, I will go to the next slide. I'll give you some examples. So basically, level 0, which it is the small event, and I'm trying to take more from the best practices, that today hotels are more often heard about the food poisoning. Food poisoning is very harmful process. Those who don't know, I can advise a regulation called HACCP, or we call it HACCP. HACCP is stipulating the preventing of the food poisoning. It is your food and vegetables, how you can outsource it, and healthy, safely preventive all bacteria could put the dish in front of the guest. So all this way, you need to ensure that your food is not poisoned and it has been regulated. Having said that, in level 0, in the food poisoning, majority of the hotels may have the certification. However, there are any staff may have a training on it. So sometimes hotel can bring the nurses, have their own nurse, in-house nurse, or could contact in any healthcare which is nearby. Again, this is the risk-wise, we could count it on the mid-range risk, Sometimes it could give a death for the food poisoning, which I will explain to you later on. However, in the food poisoning, when it happens, the food poisoning, respective departments are looking as the documentation. In order your documentation to safeguard yourself, you need to have this regulation. It is very advisable from my side and from my colleagues also to make sure that you do have a HACCP requirement. Second, which is the level 1, is the injury. This injury could happen in your experience also, a serious injury, or God forbid, it could be a death. In this scenarios, what is the role? Who is the role to do or to report related departments? So in my experience, I had seen, unfortunately, the death, and I saw the serious injury also. In both scenarios, I could say that respective government authority, which is polices, they came, they checked, and they were questioning a lot. Once they were questioning a lot, and they were ensuring that we did everything as per the rules and regulation. There is a rules and regulation today which is available that depend from the country. It could be any country. Please, you could ask it from your director of security that they may know it, or your general manager, on policies, which we will talk about later on as well. That policies have to be occurred in every single level to understand if there is any serious injury, what need to be done, what shouldn't be done, what who are responsible, and who to inform first. So I'm highly advising for you to look from your local authority or the polices to understand and prepare your own SOP, your own standards for each level. Level 2 is the, as I said, it's the regional one. It's the tension that had happened between few months ago between US and Iran. And as we are being in UAE, it was very tough situation. As you could imagine that a lot of residents, a lot of tourists wanted to leave the country, wanted to not to come back because of the tension. And thank God, obviously, nothing had happened. However, it's create a negative impact to the businesses. In order not to impact negatively to your businesses, your communication, especially your sales and marketing, human resources with your staff have to be close enough to inform what's going on and how to calm them down. Level 3 is obviously the worldwide, is the pandemic. Currently, we are all in this situation. It's not controllable at the moment. However, some countries we see that they are already reducing the curve. We're calling the curve means reducing the cases and bringing up the maximum positive news. So these are the examples pretty much for you to understand that these levels 0, 1, 2, 3 are the examples of currently what we see right now. So you could ask what to do in order to be prepared. So we had prepared for you 2 scenarios basically, where you could predict or you could not predict. Means you could expect the crises, what is going to happen, and when you're not expecting, what could happen. So obviously we'll talk about the predicted, which you're expecting to happen. Obviously the awareness is happening, and pretty much it doesn't mean that from the internet or the media we're getting awareness. No, this is more about the sales and marketing, and as I said, HR, to be involved, to aware your guests, your staff, to make sure that what they're going to do and how they're going to do. This is one of the important elements at the moment, because majority of the staff I'm seeing at the moment, they are not knowing anything what to do, how to do. Okay, COVID-19 are available. Okay, sit at home, social distance. However, okay, what we're going to do, what is going to happen? Here, sales and marketing and HR have to step up and inform their guests, their staff accordingly. This is one of the important area as an awareness. That's why I put the first one. The second one, equipments. Equipments could be any equipment which will be preventing the any crisis situation. It could be X-ray, it could be thermometers, it could be for security that today could able to predict any harmness. It could be even walkie-talkie we're saying, which is the radio talk. So these equipments are very important. And I know that some of you may say that we don't have it. I strongly advise for you to have these equipments because this is at least a small communication, small equipments that day to day you need it in the operational purposes. If you don't have these equipments, you're actually harming yourself and you're making difficulty to yourself. The third one is the most important one is the policy and procedures, or some of you call SOPs. Policy and procedures is very important in the hotel industry. If you don't have any policy and procedures for any of the crises, I mean the scenarios of the crises, means the hotel is not ready for any consequences. Means hotel is not ready any situation that may happen. And obviously any general manager may know that in hotel can happen anything. We need to be prepared for that, and we need to mitigate it, minimize it as much as possible. So I do urge everyone to have a policy procedures or to create the policy procedures based on your hotel, based on your environment or country you're at. After the establishing policy and procedures, you have to do the training. Training could be for your kitchen staff, could happen for your security team, could happen for your front office team, which day to day are involved to the guest. It could be even housekeeping. It could be even your waiters from the F&B department. Kindly to make sure that your training are given to your staff and constantly have been followed it up. Because if you don't have the trainings for your staff, that could harm you again by not controlling, by not managing effectively. And of course, the fifth point is the scenarios. You have to make the scenarios which is very often happening in your hotel, in your local community. It could be even a rain. Sometimes a rain could give you the crises, could give you major impact. It could be a death scenarios. It could be someone burned from the sun. It could be someone harmed their fingers or food poisoning. Kindly to make these kind of scenarios, obviously fake scenarios, and to make sure that how the team, which I was speaking about, the committee, how they are going to react, who is going to make a decision, how this decision is going to affect to the scenario itself, who is going to be in this team actually to make decisions. So this are the one of the important as a role play for you to manage and to train in order to be well prepared. Obviously, the unpredicted one is everything what we said in the negative side. Obviously, it's a poor management. It could be less or no equipment, no SOP, no training, and of course, no experience in the crisis management. I would love to say about the experience-wise, because many of us could have an experience in the crisis. However, it's the leader's role to explain and to make sure that our team is well prepared in any of the crises. So if you're experienced in the crises, kindly to prepare the scenarios and train your team accordingly. In the last, what I would like to say about the prediction or unprediction is that I may understand that some of you could see it as a small, unuseful tool. However, I could assure you that without one of these scenarios, without one of these points, you could able to shut down your hotel, put some management team in the jail, and of course give the bad reputation in the market. If you cannot do neither of it, which is totally okay, totally fine, you can implement it from the third party. You could use third party companies, well-known third party companies, which today are exist in every single market, and they can prepare for you all this as a report for you, for your general manager, or even for your owners to make sure to minimize and mitigate the crises. So I would love to talk about some scenarios today which gave financial, operational, and legality perspective uh, cases which are well known. First of them is the food poisoning. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, I cannot tell you the name. It's one of the famous bistro cafe, French bistro cafe in London, that had happened the food poisoning, and it was in the London news pretty much. Uh, it gave a big issue in the London among the people as well, which one of the girl had purchased a sandwich in airport before going to the plane, and she had an allergy, her allergy was to the sesame seed. Those who don't know, it's a small seeds on the bread. So girl, before she purchased, she said that I have an allergy, and of course the seller cashier said that there is no sesame, which was true. There was no sesame on the bread. However, it was inside the bread, so ingredients was used. So the girl had purchased her sandwich, went to the plane and starting to eat it, and she died. When she died, obviously they opened the case and saw that it was from the food allergy. Food allergy is one of the components of the HACCP, HACCP, to prevent it. So as you may know from this, of course, this company almost got bankrupt, bad reputation among the English community, and of course they lost many of their branches at the moment. So you could see that as a small sesame, which costed for them a big financial and legal consequences. Just for you to let you know that even those bread was not had been cooked by the same company, they was outsourcing from the third company, and even they had proved that it's not had been cooked and it was from the third party. But when it comes to the name, the media, they don't care about the third party. They care about it happened from your side. So please be careful on your contract, even your subcontractors, if you're ordering a food from outside. The second case, again, I don't want to talk about more about the death. However, it's a live, real situation. That child had died during the event. Again, I cannot tell you which hotel. So it was a small event where the parents brought the kids, and those who knows the canapé tables, a small kid had pushed to the canopies, and everything what was on the top of the canopy had fallen to the kid's head and made the major injuries from the glasses, etc., which obviously that kid died. When this had happened, responsibility went to the general manager, obviously. It gave the financial, again, legal, and of course, media-wise, a big issue in the same city. So I do suggest in this type of even a small event, when sometimes we see that it's a small event, to make sure that your security department, your security team are well prepared for this. Some other scenario I could show you here is the protest in Europe. Those who are from the Europe may know it better. When there is any protest happening, especially in France, Italy, Germany, or excuse me, in England, those protests are giving the negative impact into the businesses. That businesses even sometimes harming their businesses. So in these scenarios, even the hotel team or any entity have to be well prepared to that, especially the security team, what to do and how to do. These examples are available on internet. You could see it on the YouTube, how to prevent it. Basically, it's from the security department that they are taking the biggest role in here. And of course, the last one is the financial crisis. Those who was working in that time or not in 2007, in 2008, the financial crisis gave the major impact to the hotel industry, especially to the luxury segment, which caused the dropping of the rate, and basically there was no any guest. This scenario, in a way, looks current scenario of the COVID-19, even much worse, I would say, as per the STR, because in that time it was financial crisis, not the pandemic. Financial crisis is for those who basically can still travel, but pandemic is not allowing you to travel, even to go out from your house. During this situation, in the financial crisis, every single hotel, of course, the first thing what they have to do was the cutting the cost, no investment, reducing the staff, reducing the expenses, pretty much like what we see right now. But in the financial crisis, it wasn't that much strong. However, in current situation, COVID-19 was much stronger. So these are the scenarios at the moment that I can explain to you in operationally that affecting. This slide I could show you about who's responsible, and obviously you could see who is responsible and what they're responsible for. So you could practice it or ask from your respective team member. On the pretty much the general manager and the hotel manager is responsible for overall. Overall means the legality, financially, and operationally. Legal department or the general manager is 100% liable or responsible for the signing of the contract and the insurances. Sometimes there is no legal department, and sometimes it has been handled either by financial controller or by HR. However, the last person who is signing on it is the general manager. The director of security or security manager, or if it's not even available, even the general manager have to make sure that there's a procedures, SOP, CCTV cameras, regulation as per the police. HR manager is responsible for the staff, hiring the staff, hiring the right staff, not the relatives, hiring the right staff, and give them the training. Technical manager, one of the important area, the director of engineers, some of you may know it, is responsible for the asset. Those who don't know what is the asset means, and everything inside the hotel, which is the mechanical, electrical, structural, even sometimes IT, are responsibility of the director of engineer that it has been maintained properly. Sometimes, not even sometimes, even most of the times, as I can see, that director of engineers, they are not taking a responsibility, which any single material is losing its efficiency on the first year even. So that shows that the management was poor on selecting the material, poor on selecting the right supplier, because every time we're going into the cheaper supplier, which is wrong. And of course, these are the consequences. Executive chef are responsible for the food poisoning and the hygiene, especially in the kitchen. We spoke about it before. However, if you want to know more about it, you can check out the HACCP requirements. And the marketing team is responsible excuse me, about the reputation of the hotel to make sure that there is no blackmailing or anti-PR against the respective hotel in general. So what I can advise to you, if you will ask me, I can advise you, do not wait of any crisis situation to happen, whether it's COVID-19 or any crises. Do not wait for it to happen. Just be prepared for it. Obviously, COVID-19 is not had happened in rapidly in the world before, but today I can tell you that we learned a lot about from this crisis, and we know how to prevent it in the future, or how to minimize it in the future. Well, how to minimize it, pretty much everybody knows. However, you just need to implement it in your hotel industry. What you could implement it. So basically, today in the best practices, in the malls, in the airports, in hotels, they are installing the thermal, or some of you may know, infrared CCTV camera. These cameras are for identifying the fever of the person if he is infected. The second one is the social distance. Obviously, everybody knows, which you have to know that the social distance will happen and it's not going to be removed soon. So you need to make sure that your social distancing is available in your reception desk, at your restaurant, at your spa, gym, pool, and even your beach. These social distances have to be implemented for your own safety in order to reduce the risk. The third will be obviously the glasses. I know this is very old-fashioned. However, the fashion is coming back. The glasses at the reception desk in order to prevent the spread of the virus. The fourth is the hygiene. Obviously, everybody knows about this. Hygiene is the mask, gloves, even sometimes glasses, hand sanitization in the desk, elevator, and of course the digital thermometers, which can check the temperature, the fever without touching it. Some equipments more related to the cleaning the rooms are currently available in the market, which can clean the rooms and could kill the all pathogens, bacteria, especially COVID-19, and to make sure that the room is more safe and cleaned effectively. I will show you the video how they are doing it in a second. So these equipments are available at the moment. And of course, the food hygiene, one of the important is the HACCP. These are the videos which I would like to show to you how respective companies are implementing some of the scenarios which I had spoken about at their company, and how it's giving marketing wise and of course operational wise a positive feedback.
I guess, Nijat, you need to share your Firefox, or I don't know, Google Chrome. I guess it's not showing here.
Yes, so you could see here is the social distance is available, the way how they are cleaning the aircraft, and you could able to see how the staff have been wearing the uniforms. So you could see it in your internet, and of course you can find it. I just want to show you how it looks from the guest perspective and how they are ready for the crises. Which some of you may know, the Emirates are already starting to launch the flights. That's why how they're going to prevent the spreading of the COVID-19 itself. The other video which I would like to show it to you is more related to the food. how they're prevented from the food, obviously.
Nijat,
Yes.
can you please show the screen, because I guess it's stuck in the presentation. We cannot see the video itself.
They cannot see the video?
Yeah. Can you please share the screen, because you need to shift from the presentation to your...
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Thank you very much.
So I have to do this way then. Share my screen. Okay. I hope everybody could see it.
Perfect. It's coming.
Okay. So you could see here as the Emirates Airlines, how they are getting ready for this COVID-19. Obviously, they kept the glasses on the reception desk, keeping the social distance between each other in the airport. You could see the thermal cameras, the glass between the passenger, the staff, how they're protecting themselves by wearing. This is the cleaning, how they're cleaning in the aircraft itself. This is the special machines, how to clean it. Uniform, obviously, to safeguard their team. So even the packed meal, so untouched meal for the safety of the passenger. So you could see that how it looks like from the guest perspective, how company, airlines is taking care of their own passengers. The second one, I would like to show it to you. The same in the Emirates Airlines. So they had made the small tests in the airport itself. So I do believe that in most of airports will happen, and even may happen in the hotels base, that there will be a test to verify within the 10 minutes that if the guest had been affected on the COVID-19 or not. And of course, I want to show you the other slide, which is more about the food safety. So this is the food safety, how they are Etihad Airlines basically giving the confidence on their passengers, how the food could be protected in the future. As you could see the uniform, as you could see the safeguarding the staff, safeguarding the food, and obviously how they are giving it to the passengers. This is a big commitment from the from the company side on to their own passengers. And of course, the final one, it's related to the how to clean the hotel room.
After all, you're sharing the same space a complete stranger was using the day before.
It's very important to us that our guests feel safe and secure.
And when you're in the medical center, germs can lurk around every corner, but that's where Zina comes in.
We're the first hotel in the country to implement a UV light robot germ zapping robot here at the hotel.
And this is how it works. Zina is strategically positioned inside hotel rooms at this Westin location. The robot raises up to about 6 feet high.
So these are pretty much the videos that which you had seen from the different companies and hotels, how they are implementing and safeguarding, which by showing this video, actually they are marketing it to make sure that their operation is smooth and they are well prepared to do any crises. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. I'm happy to hear any of your questions if you may have it.
Thank you, Nijat. It was really very much enlightening. I guess this operational part of the crisis management is sometimes the hotel general managers as well as the leaders of the department, they don't tend to give a real, let's say, really not they are not thinking most about this topic at the property level. But once the things happens, you really have the problem at the hotel. I remember sometimes in one of the property here in Qatar, they had the food position put it. So basically, what happened that the entire team was convicted to the jail, and they had the issue with the government, and specifically in some of the governments, you should have a really very much close relationship in order to understand their laws in a perfect shape. Otherwise, you can be in a really big trouble, let's say. And apart from that, the positioning of the hotel as well, it can have a big damage on the positioning of the hotel. So being said that, Nijat, I just want to lead the question to, I guess a lot of the people would like to ask most of the commercial point of the crisis management. So I just would like to take a lead and ask the question about the commercial. Maybe you can just give some highlights on this. So as you know, currently we are living the pandemic. This pretty much the COVID is all over the world. Just would like to understand. Most of the hotels, they really literally they went the black in the marketing. They are not announcing anything. They stop all their marketing budgeting, and in terms of the relationship with the customer, they stop posting any Instagram posts or any other, let's say, the information related to the current situation. Do you think is it a viable strategy currently doing? So cutting the marketing costs, stopping everything. Do you think that this is a viable strategy to take lead in this kind of situations?
So thank you for the question. It's very important questions. I'm sure everybody is interested about. So let's take it from the different perspective. I don't want to answer it from the financial perspective, but I would like to answer it from your point of view. Imagine you do have $100 in your pocket, and suddenly you are in the situation where you don't have any other income, you don't have any other basically money where you can generate, and they're keeping you between this $100 that you have to live with. Obviously, it's a little bit funny and it's a little bit strange to explain that how I can stay with the $100 in the current situation, or how I can live with the $100 for the coming 2 or 3 months. This is a little bit funny because any owner or any general manager or respective person have to understand that there's a liability of the keeping the staff, there's a liability of the keeping the reputation of the hotel, and there's, of course, most important, very most important, is important to keep the hotel condition as is. When I mean the condition as is, so imagine, I don't want to say, but 90% of the hotels had been shut down in one of the cities, in one of the countries actually. And pretty much everybody thinks that, okay, there is no income, so I have to shut down the hotel. Okay, but when you're shutting down the hotel, your utility is still your running cost. We call it fixed cost. In the financial term, it's called fixed cost. Still, there is the fixed cost, and this fixed cost is your utility. In order not to harm your furnitures, your rooms, your restaurants or spa, still you need to run some maintenance. This maintenance could be your housekeeping department, could be your engineering department, also a cost. Again, depend on the property, you still need some people who can safeguard the hotel by harming from the third party. Again, it's the cost.
So when you're opening these scenarios and showing in front of the owner or the general manager, you're pretty much educating them by saying that, Mr. General Manager, Mr. Owner, by doing this, actually you're not cutting the cost, you're even increasing your cost. Because once the hotel will reopen back, you have to spend more money for changing the furniture, changing a lot of materials in the hotel. And pretty much in order to avoid it and to explain it to the owners, you need to make a financial sheet where you can explain to your general manager or your owner that if we will keep the hotel as the current situation, obviously with the minimum staff, that will be a minimum risk, minimum harm. But when you're going to reopen it, you will spend more money because of the pre-opening, because of the sales and marketing, because of the changing this material, that material, etc. So once the owner seeing the comparison between one column to another column, it's pretty much obvious to understand and to make a decision which scenario is better. Unfortunately, today what we see is the emotional decisions. I don't want to be more specific in this, but I can say that this is emotional decision. Emotional decision means there is no income, so we have to cut the cost or close the hotel. Okay, fine, you can close the hotel. But what if after 3 months or 6 months, you reopen the hotel and you will spend twice more, even sometimes depending on the country, you're actually changing the materials. What is going to happen then? This is the very important question. This is from the commercial perspective. I strongly advise for everyone to make the comparison on keeping with the minimum staff, obviously, versus the closing it, and show this graphic, show this Excel sheet to your general manager or to your owners to educate them, to inform them. Not all general managers knows about finance, and not all the owners are knowing about the hotel operation. This is your role, respective role, to explain them.
Perfect. And just another question actually came up from the chat box. So basically, Rauf Changiro is asking about, can you please tell more about the correct communication principles during the crises? So what is the hierarchy? How it should be the communication between the, I guess, the departments?
Good question, actually. So imagine the hotel is closed or semi-closed or running at the minimum staff. I can say the experience within the UAE that a lot of hotels had announced, unfortunately, that they are closing the hotel. And once they are closing the hotel, obviously there is no sales and marketing. Obviously there is no HR. There is nobody even to respond to the email. So the partners, which are the important partners who brings the business, they are sending an email, the normal emails that, are you open? When you going to open? Can we bring the guest in? Not even now, not even in the April. Can I even sell them from the September, October? Which they're not responding, obviously, and the communication goes wrong. When the communication goes wrong, that means that hotel is not taking responsibility, which means they are harming themselves. And once they're harming themselves, obviously you can understand that the businesses will not be positive. Even when the situation will be better for that specific hotel, the reputation, to reinstate the reputation, is not going to be easy. So communication here is very easy, at least in the nowadays. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or the email, at least, to send all your partners by saying that you can find me on Skype, on Zoom, on LinkedIn, if there is any further communication. Regarding the staff is very important, of course, because the first who is seeing the harm from the hotel is the staff. And it's the role of the HR to inform their staff what is happening, at least to update them, at least to motivate them, at least to show the leadership. Leadership is not when everything is good and I'm the leader. No, leader is that leader who is known in the tough situation, and at least when there is something is wrong. This is the leader. I cannot be a good leader when everything goes good. I mean, I need to be a good leader when everything goes bad. At least financially, if I cannot help, the small gesture of giving a food, giving them the call, how's everything, a little bit motivation, even at least to give them a task in the hotel to do. It's very important. That is the role of the HR manager, to keep their staff loyal enough, at least, and motivated enough to make sure that their staff will not run away to the different hotels from the first opportunity. Because if the staff is running to the different hotel, means you will bring new staff, invest in this new staff, explain to them all the trainings, all the situations. Again, it's costing for you. So what's the point? Just a small gesture will not going to harm you at all. Communication is very important. Some hotels, I know that they're using specific app, that within this app, they can able to communicate with all their staff, with their departments. So actually, it will be foolish not to communicate with your partners and with your staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Nijat. Another, actually, before jumping to the chat box, I just want to ask about regarding the hotels that have tight situation with the cash flow. If they're running out of the cash and they're in the tight situation, that's, I guess, in that situation, most of the hotels taking very much emotional decision, as you mentioned. What's your suggestion as asset manager? What's your suggestion in terms of if the hotel is running out of the cash and he needs to take this decision to close and cut the employees? What any other, let's say, international experiences that you as an asset manager have practiced, let's say?
Well, here are the 2-3 scenarios that I can suggest from my experience, obviously. One of them is the cash flow. For example, if we have a certain amount which could run with the minimum of the staff for at least 3 to 6 months. Here, depend on the hotel, depend on the location, depend on geographical location, and how hotel is big or small. You could able to see it. When I mean big or small, it could be the number of the keys also. Maybe 50 rooms or 300 rooms or 300 plus rooms. It's very important to understand that it's not about the cutting the cost. It's more about protecting the asset. For us as the asset managers, it's important to keep the asset as much as possible, live life longer. We call life cycle. Life cycle is very important for any asset manager to keep longer. And in order to do that, you need to actually maintain your asset. How to maintain your asset? You need to sign something called AMC, annual maintenance contracts. Annual maintenance contract is very important in the hotel industry. I know that some of the hotels are doing in-house, and I know that they're taking the responsibility, which until now I cannot understand how they can take the responsibility of the fire drilling, for example. Fire drilling is not the responsibility of the hotel team, it's the third party. So those AMCs are running costs. Those AMCs are preventive you for the failing of the hotel. Need to explain to the owner that we still do have sufficient cash to run 3 to 6 months in order not to harm your asset. Again, you need to use the right wording, not to harm your asset. If you will allow to harm the asset, it will be a major expenses for the owner once they will reopen. This is the first scenario. Second scenario, when there's no cash. Okay, when there is no cash, again, it doesn't mean that you need to close the hotel. It means that you need to communicate with your staff. I know a lot of hotels that today working in the hotel without getting any salaries. This is normal and this is okay if a leader will explain to their staff that once the situation will be better, I will reconsider the work you had done. again, it's not harm to request, to ask an assistant from your staff to help. There is a time, and sometimes even for the asset managers, how should I say, ego is not allowing to say, is requesting from the staff to stay, requesting from the staff to help, because they never had communicated with them. They never built the loyalty with the staff, because they never cared about the staff. It's important to understand that the staff is the one, the team is the one who is running the hotel, not the owners or the asset managers themselves. So at any single situation, you need to request your staff to help, to understand, and to help at these circumstances. Second scenario, the third scenario could be loan. Obviously, I know that currently, even in UAE, it is easy to take the loan even with the 0% of interest, which is possible. That is coming from the government side, that they are supporting any entity, not just the hotels, in order to protect their cash flow. They are giving the loans with the 0% of interest. This is also possible. And of course, the fourth one, which is the most important one, the hotel, you can still run and you can still sell. It doesn't mean that you cannot sell it at all. It means that you can sell it for September, you can sell it for October, you can sell it for the 2021, for the next year, and still you can generate the cash. It is possible. I would say that it's the human nature that when something is happening wrong, we are all depressed, we are all stressed, we think that nothing could happen, but it is possible. I mean, I could say from our hotel, the hotel which currently we are managing, that there is the strict rules by going out and going in. We are building actually pools, inflatable pools, for our guests so they can have an access to swim. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. It's not normal, I understand. It's not maybe good enough for the hotel, but it's possible. Nothing is impossible. You can still run your business at the minimum cost, at least a minimum revenue, and have the reputation enough. What I could say that currently, as most of the hotels are closed in Dubai, we are getting a lot of fair share. For those who doesn't know fair share, it's the request from other hotels. So the guests from other hotels are coming to staying in the hotel. They're saying that, oh, okay, those hotels are closed. And I do believe that even when the situation will be better, they will still be closed because they lost their opportunity, because they had lost their reputation in the market. And that's why we are getting those opportunity gaining for our hotel. So it's very important for the cash flow perspective to look few scenarios and compare those scenarios. In the end of the day, I know that it's very hard to say, but the decision maker, whoever is the decision maker, could be general manager or the owner, our role as an asset manager to bring all the scenarios with the numbers, with the logic, and to make sure that owner could able to choose one of them. In the end of the day, it's the owner's objectives that we are fulfilling that could protect their asset.
Perfect. I guess when there is a question about the cash, actual answer should be not less than the 2 minutes, I guess. This is always the major point in terms of the hotel's, let's say, life cycle, as you mentioned. And most of total, 90% of the closing hotels is dealing with the decision right now because of this, the running out of the cash. So jumping out to the chat box, question from the Kenan Zabitsada. Hi everyone, kindly I need to know about the SWOT analysis of the companies after the pandemic, after this COVID-19, which is very valid question because the SWOT analysis that you did prior, let's say, pandemic is not that, it will be definitely changed after the post-pandemic.
Well, what I can say to Kenan that this is a question to the 1 million, this is for sure, because SWOT analysis is the half of your business plan. what I can say to Kenan to respond to it, what could be a SWOT analysis for the pandemic? Okay. Country is still opening or will be open soon. What is our strength? Our strength could be local market. Our strength could be selling the residents in the local community. So the big spending power have to be in the local communities. How the local community have a sufficient cash today to spend? This is the question mark we need to answer. What is the weakness point? Weakness point could be that it will take a time. And I know you also, Jehun, could confirm it because you have gone to other webinars in STR. In current pandemic situation, they're always comparing versus the financial crisis. Financial crisis restoration means coming back took for some countries 1.5 years, some countries 2.5 years. So does that mean that currently if hotel was running 80% of occupancy, they will run again 80% after 3 months? The answer is no. The answer is that it will take at least 1.5 years minimum to restore those businesses. This will be your weakness point. So if this is the weakness point, you need to be prepared for your staff, for your partners, and in front of your owners as well. Opportunity is always available. Opportunity, I don't want to talk more. It's more about how creative and innovative you are. Because today, if you are not creative and innovative enough, you don't have any opportunity. Basically, you don't have any coming back scenarios. Those who doesn't know about anything about opportunity, I do suggest to go to internet to look in terms of how to be creative enough and innovative at the crisis, even in the crisis. As I could say, just a small example in the hotel that we manage right now, in the current crisis, we see opportunity to sell the room with the pool. The pool is restricted, is not allowed to swim, but you could do the pool individually, inflatable for the individual guest. Can you do that? Yes, you can. How you could do that? Well, not to build one, obviously, it will cost you a lot. You will make sure that you have a small one, sufficient one. Okay, how it's going to work? Let's purchase one and see what will be the response. So we had purchased one and we had made it the advertisement on the social media. Guess what? After 2 hours, we picked it 2 booking. So it means it's working. You just need to be a little bit creative enough. How to be creative? Just understand the current situation, what the people can or want, or what will be the demand, what they could able to spend, how much they can spend. This will be an important question. Threat, at the current situation, everybody is talking about the second wave of the COVID-19, that there will be another pandemic which will come up. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Is it possible that the country will take a time to restore it? Yes, it is. But again, the question is how you will be prepared. Going back to the presentation which I showed, again, you need to be well prepared with your team, with your awareness, with your SOP, with your training, with your implementations of the equipment, of the scenarios. This will be preventing your threats. This will be a small answer for you. But in generally, SWOT analysis, normally for post-pandemic situation, no one is prepared. It's unpredictable. This is what I can say. No one is knowing what to do, even right now. Everybody is taking from the case-to-case situation. This is what I can say. But obviously, it will not be easy task, I can say. It's going to be long enough, at least 6 months to 1 year, again, depending on the country. And of course, it will majorly focus not in the hotel industries. It will be focused majorly in the GDP of the economy. So how to restore the economy. As you know, I could say generally maybe, hospitality, the tourism, is not the major part of the GDP of the countries. It's a very small part of the GDP. It's mainly oil and gas, probably. It's the real estate, probably, cargo. These are the major GDP. So the government will be focusing to restore these elements first, not the hospitality. So be prepared that it will take a time.
Okay, perfect. I guess the real correct answer for this question as well, to follow up the trends actually, Kenan. And trends is the major point, the way you can understand and assess your SWOT analysis can be another answer for your question. So moving forward, I will just ask the question of the Ferhat Kalemli. Could you please tell which market will be more attractive after pandemic and can be considered after Ramadan will be reviewing for tourism industry? Any recovery for the tourism industry after the Ramadan?
Well, that depends on the guest behavior. If we were talking about the Arabs, for example, we know from the current situation that especially in Ramadan, especially when you are locked down in the country, you don't have much places to go to visit, and once it is available, the first place where they will go is their home places. Respectfully, it will be home places. I want to a little bit elaborate it why I'm expecting that, because let's be a little bit honest, okay? Not to give you false hope. If you don't have enough cash, if you didn't work for the 3 months or 4 months, how you can talk about the travel? It's not possible. It's not possible even after Ramadan to travel. So you think that the people are still have the salaries, have working somewhere, that they have sufficient money enough to travel? No. The answer is no, they don't. They will have it within 4 to 6 months to gain some money, to collect it, to save it, and then, yes, they can spend it. So the logical answer is that when they're going to travel, it will be, in my opinion, October, November, December months, not quicker as possible. It's not possible financial wise at the moment, unless if everybody's going to take the loan. This is a different scenario. If everybody is so desperate enough to take the loan. So I don't see the any market could be attractive as soon as possible, unless the hotel, what we call in the hotel, the discounts, which I hate the discounts. Everybody is going to give the discounts. Everybody is going to give the cost price rates, which there was a joke even where the bucket of the KFC is more expensive than the one room night of the hotel stay. So it shouldn't be that much. I mean, going back to what Ceyhun was explaining, the demand have to be always controlled. The price strategy always have to be controlled. So regardless of the market, it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be easy to recover and easy to travel. And of course, in terms of the being prepared, we need to be prepared not to open or not to be prepared after Ramadan. We need to prepare as a plan itself. What is in our plan today to come back? When is going to be a right time to come back? When is going to be a right time to maintain your hotel? These are the important questions right now, not the selling the rooms after the Ramadan. You will be able to see whether the market is productive or not from the STR report, as simple as that. Supply versus demand, you could able to see. However, it doesn't give you opportunity to sell on the high prices, which you can scare the guest.
Okay, perfect. I guess, yeah, this is something to do with the willingness to pay of the guests as well, how much money, the disposable money they do have actually. So again, the Farhad just follow up the trend, understand the buying behavior of the people after the COVID, and the search as well, the Google Alerts statistics, where you can understand Google search statistics, where you can understand what the people are looking for in their searches for upcoming maybe travel, because the travel is not the essential business right now for them. It's essential is the what they need currently to sustain their living standard. So moving forward, I do have one private question from Mr. Hamisi. So today, some hotels have decided to close. The management had decided to fire up 70% of the staff in some hotels. As mentioned, this will cost companies a lot of money once they reopen in terms of hiring and other areas. What could be the reason for this decision within the hospitality sector based on your experience? Yeah, I understood that how they're gonna open again, and what is them? On which decision they're gonna open this, reopen these hotels?
Well, again, the question is not the 70%. The question is how it became 70%. Some hotels, because of the mixed use of development, that they have hotel, apartment, and offices, are still running. I mean, Ceyhun could confirm it from his side. I can say it from my side. Because our managed hotels are not only hotels, are also offices, are also retail and apartment. When you have a mixed use development, we call it mixed use development, is mix of portfolios, you can able to run the business from the different perspective. So hotel is closed, okay, apartment I can rent, apartment I can enhance, or retail I can run at the moment. Obviously when situation will be back, everybody is going to rehire the staff, rehire the management. There will be a boom in the market, the way they want to call it. But the important for me is how to prevent those things to happen and safeguard your staff. So some of your hotel, maybe you are managing 50 staff, 100 staff, 200. I can say from my perspective, we have 700 staff. So more you have the staff, more problems you have, more troubles you have. So it's important, obviously, to communicate with your staff in the better way. Everybody understand the current situation. Everybody understand that there will be no salary at the moment. Fine. But at least as a humanity-wise, you have to give your food, the transportation, the laundry, the internet. And if the employee is not happy with it, you have to manage them to make sure that they will stay. If they don't want to stay, they can leave their own wish. But today, out of from my experience, I could say that no any staff wants to leave. This is for sure. You just need to manage them. You need to help them, and this is your leadership skills basically. And once the situation will be better, obviously you could see the revamp, but it's not going to happen soon. This is for sure. If I could explain, if I could answer your question, if it's something else, please do let me know.
Perfect, Nijat. That's, I guess, the main point here. Nobody would like to live at this moment within this uncertainty. So we move to question of Antonio. So good evening all. You have covered how important is the making of risk assessment records at hotel level, which I fully agree with you, are documents that have paved the road to broader, often cross-departmental self-assessment and then help us assessing the gaps in our current procedures. How often do you think hotel teams should reassess their risk assessment records? And another question, Nijat, you can just answer this question. How often we need to go and reassess our risk assessment records? I will ask another question of Antonio further.
Depend on the hotel scale, whether it's a small or a big. I would say that if it's a big, you need to do more often, once a month. If it's less, it's a small hotel, at least a quarter or 6 months.
Okay, another question from Antonio as well. With this regards, how important it is that the hotel leadership team performs a roundtable crisis management activities?
Always it's important from the leader how he or she respectively is gathering their team and motivating them and talking the businesses in the table. Unfortunately, what I see in the current industry everybody is negative minded or pessimistic enough to just complain, more rather than a leader have to talk on about the opportunity and what are the scenarios and prepare the scenarios with their own team, how to perform better, how to do things better. I mean, today we all know that the restaurants are closed, fine, but online could be work. Okay, online is not possible. Why not possible? Because you don't have the platform. You didn't turn in time your restaurant into the digital menus or digital platform. Did you do that? No. Did you invest it? No. Let's invest it now. It will take for a time for you to create the platform. So digitalization could be your answer, or artificial intelligence, or even BI, business intelligence, could be your answer. How to perform better. Could you do that? Yes, you can. But if you didn't do it, note that it was the poor management. It was the lack of the management. But nevertheless, it's not the end of the time. You could still do the businesses. I do believe that a good leader can find um, a good opportunity to sell every single square meter in their hotel. If you are motivated enough, if you are motivating your team, and if you know how to manage the property with the team.
Perfect. I guess as well at the same time, Antonio, but I think the major point here is that we are always talking about the commercial point. The aim that we brought this crisis management in hotel industry, there's a reverse psychology. Reverse psychology, it means that most of the time people are thinking that we're going to discuss about the commercial strategies, how the marketing should react, what should be the strategies in terms of the revenue management, in terms of the business development as well. But actually we really forget the major point that is only this tiny issue we can have the problem at the end of the day, which can lead to the jail, which can lead to the deflagging of the properties as well, which we had a lot of topics. And you can ask yourself as well, sometimes when you do have the fire alarm and the fire, let's say the once in a quarter, how the people are responding. Normally the employees they are not so very much understanding the crucial point, how it is very much important. So it's all about, I guess, communication and understanding it, and specifically the leaders of the departments. Sometimes, for example, in terms of the revenue management, I'm the director of revenue, so I don't bother about knowing how it needs to be managed on the property level for the food poisoning or any fire stuff or the crisis as well that's happening in the country. But I'm doing my business. But on the other side, it will affect definitely on your commercial strategies. That's why it should be like hand on hand. So you can define accordingly if you're gonna do it once a month or the three times in the month or the once in a quarter. So it will go on as you see them the process going on. So basically, moving forward, I do have the
Just two more questions, because I'm very happy that everybody is more participating, but we meant to have this webinar for 1 hour. I'm happy to see those questions. You can able to give the questions even in our platform, which we'll be happy to respond to it. Two more questions from Paloma and Kenan, so we could finish.
Yes, I do have a good evening. What will be your future prediction for the hotels and tourism worldwide, from Paloma?
Hi, Paloma. Regarding the prediction, I do think that the regulation will change. Any single situation where we are at, I want to just to bring some example. If everybody remember the 9/11 situation, after the 9/11, majority of the security standards in the airport was changed. So it was more tough, obviously. And year by year, we can see that how visas are getting tough enough to travel. Some countries, they're doing easy visa on arrival or the electronic. However, depend on the country, this is the right answer, depend on the country, it will be their own risk, how they're going to manage their crisis management. If today, let's say that after a month, ABCD country will be released from the current pandemic, it doesn't mean that they could restore their economy, but because still other countries, they didn't. If today the countries like US, which is the major cases are available in the list, does that mean that I can do the businesses with them as a tourism wise? Of course not. Even I'm ready, even if I'm ready, it doesn't mean that I can still do the business. So what is coming on here? It's the regulation. You remember in this slide I had showed that what to do. I'm sure that the cameras, all this hygienic, all this regulations is just soft enough to explain. I'm sure there will be more rapid and more harsh way new restrictions or new law and regulations which will come up. I saw in one of the airports, okay, I can say in Dubai airport, where they're building a tunnel which you can pass from this tunnel in 10 seconds, and it could tell you what kind of sicknesses you have. Does that mean that this is the future? Does that mean that this is how they're safeguarding every single tourist? Maybe, but this is the law and regulation. I'm sure that the government will come with the more restrictions, or they will do effective crisis management plan.
Another last question, and we will finish here. Any other questions you can post to our group as well as through our social media. I need to know from the Canada bit, I need to know how GCC countries solve the immigrant staff problem, because without salary it is hard to live in the foreign country. I guess the question is related with the people who stuck in the country, and if the business is closed down, what the governments are doing. From the Qatar perspective, let's say if this is happening here, let's say government they take the responsibility to give the accommodation, food, and as well as the basic needs. They do have the specific area here they have built up for these immigrants, specifically the expats, that the business is shut down and the people fire them. So basically, government is fighting at the end with the employer to keep the employee rights. But if the government, if the company is going with the firing of the employee, he needs to give the indemnity as well as the salary of the 2 months. Apart from that, the government is of course giving the accommodation, food, and trying to solve the flight issue to back to his country. This is from the Qatar perspective that's we are facing currently now.
From the Dubai perspective is the same, I would say, pretty much the same. Again, please do not forget the law and regulation. Every single owner or general manager may think that if something goes bad, the first slash I can put on the stuff, which is wrong. There is the law and regulation. Law and regulation actually is helping safeguarding the rights of the staff, whether you're in pandemic situation or you're not in pandemic situation. Even today, the pandemic situation, I cannot fire my staff. This is the law in UAE. There have to be mutual agreement. If mutual agreement is not available, which means it will be one of the cases, I have to pay compensation of from 1 to 3 months the salary to the staff. This is law. This is not my law. This is not my wish. This is law. This is how safeguarding the staff. I do hope that every single person knows their rights as a labor-wise, because it's called the labor rules and regulation. They will know that what is their right to do, how to do, and when to do. Even if you give 15 days of unpaid leave, you cannot give 15 days unpaid leave without mutual agreement. You cannot give 15 days unpaid leave more than 3 months, because how they're going to live with them. So it's all about the law and regulation, I would say, the first. And second, the humanity-wise, how we are human enough to understand the current situation and go as per the current situation. That's all.
Yeah, currently actually there are a lot of hotels I have seen that they are actually keeping the whole employees. They are closing the hotel. They're closing the hotel, but they're paying every month the salaries of the whole employees. So basically, they are keeping their promise to the employees. So it is actually showing how the companies, the integrity level of the companies, as well as then you can decide whom you are working for. Actually, I guess that's it for time being. I guess it was a very much lovely discussion. As I told, we did a little bit reverse psychology. We used here reverse psychology, coming back with the operational part of the crisis management rather than the dealing with the commercial, which everybody is pretty much talking, but we tend to forget about the operational part. Thank you, Nijat, for your outstanding, let's say, points that you brought here. I guess last more thing is maybe you can share our guest, next guest for our platform for the next week from the let's say from the experience that he has in the specifically in the Middle East. And as well as with we had seen already the crises, financial crisis, all the crises that he had seen. Maybe you can just share your screen.
So it's our duty, mine and Jayhoon's, to bring the guest speaker for our next week webinar. So we will announce it. Who is this person? That person pretty much everybody know, and he had able to see the SARS in 2003, financial crisis 2007 and 8, and current pandemic, even so many conflicts in the region that had been happened within the hotel, within the region, and the worldwide as well. That person is Christoph Schneider, the general manager of the Sofitel of the Palm. He will be our guest speaker on the next week, next Saturday in the same time. We will share for you the post in our pages. Please do put your emails, put your questions, which we will select the top 10 questions, which will be addressed to Mr. Schneider. And he will be able to join to us and respond to those questions and additional questions as well. Again, I'm happy and I'm thankful for you all humbly to see 20 participants that had joined. I hope it was important. I hope you had learned and benefited for you all. And again, our purpose with Jayhoon is to share with our best practices and the knowledges at the current environment, regardless where you are connected from, regardless what you are asking from. And we'll be able to share with you more our future plans in our pages. So please do follow us, and any questions, please do post it in our pages. Thank you very much. I highly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As Nijat mentioned, a lot of actually topics, webinars will be coming soon. We will be doing the same with the polls again and continuing with the polls. And so it is better you select the topic. It is not we are selecting the topic and just dominating the overall the topics. So that's why we just would like to your contribution in terms of giving the topic. And if you have any specific topic you would like to go through, you can just drop us the message and you can put in the group as well. This platform is for all of us. So basically, this will be grow if you are supporting us. And so basically, any kind of suggestion, any kind of advices, any kind of thoughts that you have, just drop us the message. We will just bring someone, and we'll also share our expertise from the different markets. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Hopefully, we will meet soon, inshallah, next week.
Sure. Have a good day. Have a good day.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye-bye.